Before diving into the 12 lessons, let me tell you a story that may make you see the power of words and silence in a completely different way. In a small town, far from the noise and distractions of the modern world, lived a wise old man. He was known for his serenity and wisdom, always providing profound answers, though he spoke little. People came from afar to seek his advice, and after leaving his presence, something changed in them. They left with a clear mind and a lighter heart. One day, a young man who talked too much, constantly sought recognition, and felt lost, decided to visit the wise man. Although he had many friends and was always engaged in conversations, he felt an emptiness that his words could never fill. "Why, with so much to say, do I still feel this loneliness?" he asked the sage. The sage, with his calm gaze, offered him a challenge that seemed impossible for someone like him. Live 7 days in absolute silence. At the end of each day, I will teach you something that can transform your life. The young man, intrigued and unsure of what to expect, accepted the challenge. What would this young man discover in a week without words? And more importantly, how could silence answer the questions that his words never reached? Day 1. Keeping others' secrets. On the first day, the wise man said, "Never reveal the secrets of others. What is told in confidence must remain guarded. Betraying someone's trust is like opening a wound that may never heal." The young man, who always had a story to share, began to realize the weight of others' confidences. He wondered, how many times had he broken this principle without noticing? Imagine that in a simple conversation, you reveal something that was told to you in secret. Have you ever stopped to think about the consequences of this? What would you do if you knew someone had broken your trust in such a way? Day 2. Don't reveal all your plans. On the second day, the wise man offered another lesson. Not everyone needs to know your plans. By exposing your intentions too much, you may attract unnecessary obstacles and contrary energies. Let your actions speak for themselves. The young man, who always liked to share his ambitions with everyone, began to realize the importance of keeping some things to himself. He remembered how many times he felt that his goals became more difficult when he shared them with others. Was it just a coincidence? Day 3. Don't spread your dissatisfactions. On the third day, the lesson was clear. Avoid sharing your complaints with everyone. Constantly complaining only multiplies the negativity around you. Seek to solve the problem or accept it, but don't spread poison. The young man, who often vented his frustrations, began to notice that this didn't solve anything. On the contrary, it only increased his discomfort. Could silence really change his view on what was important to share? And what more would he learn along this journey? Day 4. Don't brag about your good deeds. On the fourth day, the sage shared another lesson. Do not boast about your acts of kindness. True generosity does not seek applause or rewards. Let your actions speak for themselves, without the need for recognition. The young man remembered the countless times he felt the need to show others his good deeds. He realized that deep down, he sought approval and recognition, instead of doing good for the simple pleasure of helping. Think about the last time you did something good. Did you do it because you genuinely wanted to help, or because you expected something in return? What would be different if no one knew about your good deeds? Day 5. Don't speak about others' faults. On the fifth day, the lesson was about others' faults. Avoid speaking about the mistakes of others. When we judge, we place ourselves in a position of superiority that creates resentment and pride. Instead, develop empathy and understanding. The young man, who often criticized others' mistakes to feel better about himself, began to understand that this behavior only inflated his own selfishness. He reflected on how easy it was to point out flaws, but how difficult it was to accept his own imperfections. Day 6. Don't express your fears. Without reason. On the sixth day, the sage said, "Do not express your fears unnecessarily. When you reveal your fears without restraint, you give others power over you. Face your fears with courage in the silence of your mind. The young man, who used to share his insecurities with anyone, began to realize the strength that lies in facing them silently. He understood that by expressing his fears to just anyone, he was exposing himself in a vulnerable, often unnecessary way. Does revealing our fears always help, or sometimes does it just leave us more exposed? Have you ever stopped to think about the situations where oversharing can weaken you? Day 7. Don't talk about your wealth or possessions. Finally, on the 7th day, the sage taught, avoid talking about your wealth or possessions. Your material belongings do not define who you are, nor your worth. True wealth lies in the heart and the mind. The young man realized that for a long time he believed his value was tied to what he owned, when in fact his greatest wealth was in the lessons he learned over the course of that week. At the end of 7 days of silence, the young man was no longer the same. He found a deep wisdom, not only in the sage's words, but especially in what he left unsaid. But his journey didn't end here. Now, he was ready for a new stage, learning what should never be said by an intelligent person. After all, words have power, and avoiding certain expressions may be the greatest sign of wisdom. 1. Gossip. Gossip is a tempting trap. It's easy to get involved in conversations about other people's lives, especially when we're surrounded by situations that spark our curiosity. After all, what are people up to? What happened to so-and-so? It may seem harmless, but the truth is that talking about others behind their backs is like scattering seeds in the wind. You never know where they'll land or the damage they may cause. But why do we gossip? Studies show that a large part of our daily conversations involves talking about other people. This traces back to our ancestors, where sharing information about the group was a matter of survival. However, the difference between sharing relevant information and gossiping lies in the intent. Gossip often carries judgment, creates distrust, and can quietly poison our relationships. Think about the last conversations you had. How many of them were about other people's lives? And if the person you talked about overheard your words, how would you feel? Smart people avoid gossip because they understand that this habit doesn't bring long-term benefits. They know that by talking about others behind their backs, they create an environment of distrust and superficiality. The wisdom lies in transforming this energy into something positive. Instead of spreading rumors, share knowledge, or words of encouragement. This builds bridges instead of walls. Gossiping may be fun in the moment, but it's a form of entertainment that comes at a high price. Trust. When the young man reflected on this, he realized how many times he had participated in conversations that devalued others, and how it also affected his own reputation. Try avoiding any kind of gossip for a week. When you feel the urge to comment about someone, stop and reflect. Will this contribute in a positive or negative way? At the end of 7 days, notice how your conversations have changed and how it impacts your relationships. 2. Speaking on impulse. How many times have you caught yourself saying something in the heat of the moment, only to regret it afterward? Speaking without thinking is one of the most common pitfalls in our daily interactions. In moments of anger, frustration, or anxiety, our words can spill out uncontrollably, hurting those around us and leading to regrets that could have been avoided with a simple pause. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This simple phrase reminds us of the importance of thinking before reacting. When we speak without a filter, we may say something that doesn't truly reflect what we think or feel. Even worse, we can fuel unnecessary arguments and create misunderstandings that could have been avoided with just a brief moment of reflection. Have you ever tried holding back your words before a disagreement? What could change if, instead of responding impulsively, you gave yourself a few seconds to organize your thoughts? Wise people understand the power of strategic silence. By pausing before speaking, they can articulate their words more clearly without letting fleeting emotions take control of their actions. This doesn't mean you should suppress what you feel, but rather that you should take control of what you say, ensuring that your words are constructive. A good exercise is to count to 5 before responding in tense situations. This small break can make a huge difference between a thoughtful response and an impulsive reaction. Before speaking, try the think test. T. Is it true? H. Is it helpful? I. Is it inspiring? N. Is it necessary? K. Is it kind? If your words don't pass at least 3 of these criteria, it might be better to rephrase them or simply say nothing at all. 3. Lies. Lying may sometimes seem like a quick solution to avoid conflicts or uncomfortable situations. A small lie here, another there, and it might feel like the problem is solved. But the truth is that lies are like a fragile house of cards. The more you lie, the more unstable that structure becomes, until the slightest breeze makes everything collapse. Why do we lie? Often, we lie out of fear. Fear of judgment, fear of consequences, or even fear of hurting someone's feelings. But an intelligent person knows that in the long run, the truth is always the better choice. Even if it causes discomfort in the moment, it builds a solid foundation of trust, while lies corrode relationships from the inside out. Imagine that each time you lie, you're making a withdrawal from a trust account with those around you. Once that account is overdrawn, it's hard to build it back up. This doesn't mean being brutally honest all the time, but rather practicing integrity in choosing your words and deciding what to share. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where a small lie turned into a big problem? How might things have been different if you had chosen the truth from the start? Honesty builds bridges while lies dig chasms. And once you find yourself in that chasm, it's hard to climb back to the surface. True wisdom lies in knowing when it's the right time to speak the truth and when it's better to remain silent, for the right word at the right time can transform situations. 4. Intimate financial details. A person's financial life is something personal and, in many cases, sensitive. Talking openly about how much you earn, spend, or own may seem harmless in some situations, but most of the time, it creates discomfort and opens the door to unnecessary judgments and comparisons. Think of your bank account as a vault full of valuable information. Would you hand the key to just anyone? Sharing intimate financial details can attract envy and competitiveness, both in the workplace and among friends and family. Wise people understand that what they own does not define who they are, and that keeping financial matters private is a way to protect relationships and avoid misunderstandings. A study from the University of Chicago revealed that the less people share about their financial lives, the healthier their relationships tend to be. This happens because by keeping your finances private, you prevent others from making judgments or developing unrealistic expectations about you. Try keeping your finances private for a while. Don't feel pressured to share details about your income or possessions. Notice how this changes your conversations and how people around you react when this topic doesn't come up in interactions. 5. Making provocations. Have you ever been in a situation where someone tried to provoke you and you reacted impulsively? Provocations are attempts to manipulate your emotions, to destabilize your inner balance. Emotional intelligence comes into play when you can recognize these attempts and respond calmly. Imagine provocations as annoying commercials interrupting your favorite show. You have the option to change the channel. Similarly, when faced with a provocation, you can change the subject, shift your focus, or simply smile and not react. The most powerful response to provocations is self-control, because by not giving in, you show that you have mastery over your emotions. Emotionally intelligent people understand that provocations often stem from insecurity or pain in the person doing the provoking. By not responding in the same tone, you break the cycle of negativity and protect your inner peace. The next time someone tries to provoke you, try not to react. Instead, use humor as a shield, disarming the situation with lightness. You'll see how this transforms the environment and avoids unnecessary conflicts. 6. Speaking in anger. Anger is one of the most powerful and destructive emotions we can experience. When we are consumed by anger, our words become weapons, ready to hurt those around us. However, wisdom lies in recognizing that no matter how strong the anger is, it eventually fades. What remains are the consequences of what we said in the heat of the moment. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "The best answer to anger is silence." This silence is not passivity, but a conscious choice not to react immediately, allowing the anger to dissipate before acting. How many times have you regretted something you said in a moment of anger? How would your life change if, instead of reacting, you chose silence and reflection before speaking? Practicing self-control in the face of anger is one of the highest forms of wisdom. When we can hold back our words in that state, we avoid causing irreparable damage to our relationships. Anger passes, but the words spoken in its heat can leave deep scars. 7. Oversharing on social media. Social media has become a showcase for our lives. It's common to see people sharing every detail of their day, from breakfast to their most intimate thoughts. But is exposing so much of our lives really a good idea? Think of social media as windows into your life. Would you want anyone to be able to look into your home at any time? Oversharing online can leave us vulnerable, not only to judgments but also to comparisons, envy, and even security risks. Smart people use social media wisely, carefully choosing what to share and with whom. For the next 7 days, try reducing what you share on social media. Observe how this impacts your peace of mind and your online interactions. You may find that keeping certain aspects of your life private brings more tranquility and security. 8. Making fun of others. Mocking or ridiculing others is often a way to try and feel superior, but in reality, it says more about our own insecurities than about the person being targeted. It's easy to laugh at someone else's expense, but true intelligence lies in knowing how to laugh with others, not at them. When we make fun of someone, we fuel a cycle of negativity and humiliation. However, when we choose empathy, we open the door to deeper and more respectful connections. Smart people understand that respect is one of the greatest gifts we can offer others. By avoiding the ridicule of others, you create an environment of trust where conversations are meaningful and productive. 9. Empty commitments. How many times have you said yes when you really wanted to say no? Accepting commitments that you know you can't fulfill may provide temporary approval, but it leads to major problems in the long run. Smart people understand the value of a promise and avoid making commitments they can't keep. Empty commitments are like bad checks. They seem good at the moment but cause issues when it's time to follow through. Before accepting a commitment, take a moment to reflect. Can you really fulfill it? Learn to say no when necessary, and your promises will carry much more weight and value. 10. Disrespecting beliefs and religions. Everyone has their own beliefs and experiences that shape their worldview. Respecting these differences is a sign of emotional intelligence and understanding. Wise people know that respecting others' beliefs enriches relationships and fosters harmonious coexistence. After all, what makes the world beautiful is precisely its diversity. 11th. Revealing others' secrets. Trust is the foundation of any relationship. When someone shares something personal with you, they are placing something valuable in your hands. Betraying that trust by revealing secrets is like breaking a bridge that may never be rebuilt. Intelligent people protect others' secrets with the same care they protect their own. They understand that by safeguarding someone's confidence, they are strengthening the foundation of the relationship. 12th. Airing your dissatisfactions. We all have dissatisfactions. However, constantly sharing our complaints with others doesn't solve the problem. Often, it only makes it worse. When we spread our frustrations, we perpetuate a cycle of negativity that affects not only our own peace of mind, but also the environment around us. Wise people have learned to focus on solutions, not the problem. They understand that by directing their energy toward resolving situations rather than complaining about them, they can transform their realities. During 7 days of silence, the young man not only learned the art of introspection, but also began to understand the power that both his words and silence hold over his life and relationships. He discovered that true wisdom lies as much in what you choose to say as in what you choose to keep to yourself. Thank you for joining us on this Stoic journey. Remember always, the power to shape our happiness lies in our own hands, and through the constant practice of virtue and understanding of the things within our control, we can find peace and fulfillment. Keep exploring the depths of Stoicism in your daily life. Before you go, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with others who might benefit from Stoic wisdom. Until next time, may Stoic wisdom light your way.